Hello everyone and welcome back to Python lectures. We were looking at functions in Python, and this third video we are going to see how we can return multiple values from a function. Yes, in Python we can return multiple values from a function. Till now we have seen how we can actually return single values. In languages like Java, we have seen functions to return a single value. But in Python, function can also return multiple values. When there is a function that calculates multiple results and we want to return all the results, then we can use the return statement as follows. We can use this return statement with multiple values. So now let us move to the Python screen and programmatically see how we can return, multiple values from a function. So here I will be making a program of a calculator, right? So for that, I will be defining a function using the def keyword, and the name of my function will be calculator, and that takes two values on which we will be performing different arithmetic operations, right? So A and B are those values, the syntax of colon, and now we are inside our function to write the block of code. Do not forget to add a docstring. Now this function calculates the addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. So now this is your block docstring. Now let us calculate the different things. So first of all we will be using the addition, so that will be a plus b. Then we are going to calculate the subtraction, so that will be a minus b. Then we will be calculating the multiplication, so let the variable be mul, and that will be a multiplied by b, very simple. And then we are going to calculate the division, so let it be div, so that will be a divided by b. Remember, you can also use floor division for the same if you want to get the answers in an integer matter, right? And then what we are going to do, we will be simply using the return over here and return add, comma, return sub, comma, return mul, comma, and the last variable, that is def, right? So that is how we have actually did this same, right? Now what we are going to do over here is, this is a simple function in which we have returned the different values, right? Now the question is how we can actually retrieve these values. So let me just expand it a little here. So how we are going to actually retrieve these values, this is very important. So the first thing is we can use A, B, C and D as variables, because you have seen that we can assign the value of a function to a variable, right? And we can call the calc function on values, let's say 10, 20, right? And what we can do over here is we can make use of the print statement and write the addition is, right, and the value of a, which corresponds to addition. Now here you will be understanding that the first variable will be corresponding to the first returned value, right? And then after that you can actually copy the values, right, and print subtraction, right, and the variable will be now b. After that you can print the statement up for multiplication, right, and here the variable will be c, that corresponds to multiplication, and at the last you can print the division. Right? And here will be the value of D. Right? So now this is the code of calculator that returns multiple values. Now let us run the code and visualize the answer. You can see 10 plus 20 is 30 for addition. Subtraction, definitely that will be minus 10. Multiplication, that is of course 10 multiplied by 20 is 200, and division is 0.5. So that is working very fine. Right? Now there is another method of actually accessing these values. Instead of using these four variables, because here I know that I am returning four values, right? So I have used four variables over here. Now if I actually remove one of it, right, or two of it, and then run the code, and let me just comment this and this and see what is the output. So you can see that there is a error which says it is unpacking the values. So you're not able to actually pack up the values, right? Because you have four values to return, but the variables on the left hand side are two. So that means it will be showing you an error. It is expected two more, right? It is expected two. So this is wrong one. What I will be going to do over here is just remove, or let me just not remove it, I will be just editing it a little and just uncommenting the two statements, and in place of this value, four values, let me just take a single value, let's say t. So t is the variable over here, and let me just take let us say value over here as t0. Let me just first run it and then show you the answer, and you will be able to understand what it is. T1, let it be T2, and let it be T3 with square brackets, right? So you can see that the way I'm writing the output over here is either I am accessing a list or I am accessing a tuple, right? Because what I'm doing is I'm accessing the values via indices. Now let me see and run the code that if I am working it correctly or not. So let me just run the code. And here on your screen, you can see that you got the exact same output that we got earlier. That means if I am returning multiple values through a function, that value is stored in a sequence. Now, what is that sequence? So let me just print t. Now let us see what it is. So here you can see that the value is a tuple. Now why we are going to take a tuple over here? Because tuple is immutable. So you cannot modify the values that are actually returned by a function, because if you modify that value over here, that means that it will be actually disturbing the functionality of your function. So here the values are returned in form of a tuple, right? And that means that here you can access the values with the help of indices, right? Even if you do not want these values, because you do not know that the first value is what, the second value is what, you can directly make use of a for loop also over here. So if I do for I in t, right, and if I will be just printing the values, so print the value of I, and let me just take end as a space over here and just clear. If you do not know the bifurcation that which returned value is for addition or which one is for subtraction, you can just run the code and see that you have just got that particular tuple printed over here, and here you got the individual values printed, right? So when you print it as a tuple, you cannot modify the value, and when you actually have taken this in separately out of a tuple, then at that point of time you can perform any task that you want to do on it, right? So you can perform any operation outside the function. So actually that is how we can return multiple values. Those returned values are in form of a tuple. You can even access them with the name that is returned by the name returned name, even by the value of the that is stored in form of a tuple. So you can also access them via for loop or via indices. So that was all in this video. I hope that it is somewhat useful for you, and if you liked it, then don't forget to subscribe my channel and also share my videos. Thanks for watching.